firm acquisition and managing that process is an extremely hot topic right now for everybody in our field. And on this episode, I'm talking to somebody who's done it firsthand. This is the NJCPA Issues Watch podcast. Welcome back to the NJCPA Issues Watch podcast. I'm your host for everything technology, Sean Stein Smith, and I'm always thrilled to host podcasts, to be involved at the NJCPA level in any way possible. And I'm really amped for our episode here today because I have a guest who has hands-on experience tackling one of the hardest parts of being a CPA: firm acquisition, practice management, and managing how to basically hand things over in that internal succession process. And so, with all that said, I'm super happy to have back on the podcast Garrett Wagner. And Garrett, you're a friend, colleague. Two of us have been doing stuff together, going way back to what 2016, 2017.
Dr. Sean, it's longer than we can remember at this point. So
exactly.
Dwell on that. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to talk about this, no matter what the topic is. I mean, it's a great profession, a lot of challenges, but a lot of great solutions out there to help the practitioners get over these humps.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Garrett, I'm going to dive right in here. So to just add some background for our audience, tell us about your firm and your background as to how you actually got into that firm.
Yeah, so I'm a CPA, CITP. I've been in the public accounting landscape for, God, it's coming close to maybe even 20 years now.
Oh, geez, Garrett.
So, I worked in firms, and I do a lot of consulting for firms, some around mergers and acquisitions. I acquired a firm myself and did it. So I kind of see all sides. And yeah, mergers and acquisitions, it's hard. It's a major life decision for the person that's looking to get out. It's a hard decision. It's so emotional. Most of the time, even larger firms, things go wrong. So it's something you really got to put a lot of attention and intentionality into to get right. And that's why you hear so many horror stories throughout it. People don't go in on both sides with realistic expectations.
Mm-hmm. And so how did you manage that personally?
Yeah. So just kind of going through we had a very structured plan of what we wanted to do, which started away at the top. We kind of talk about planning for the future, vision, plan, desire. We had a vision of what the firm we wanted to look like, the culture, the people. We had a plan, and we had the desire to execute that. And we're always kind of heading towards that direction. We always kind of knew, no matter what it was, big decisions, small decisions with clients or people, we knew we were going, which was we need to, kind of your thing there, transform the firm from that, traditional firm record, very old school, 1040 corporate tax practice, a lot of paper. We need to bring technology. We need to help our people service our clients better. And that got us along the way, but kind of always knowing where we're going to go and having those guiding things that brought us back to it was so important past the little small pieces. And really knowing that, listen, anytime you're going to make a change in an organization, it's not going to be 100% successful. And that's okay. And even with your clients, when we kind of got rid of billing by the hour and went to value pricing and different subscription pricing, it wasn't like 100% of clients were jumping up and down. There were some clients that complained because they just complained. And I think that's something to keep in mind with being okay with that. Just because if you got 1,000 clients and 10 of them complain, that doesn't mean you're doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a bad thing that a few are like, hey, what's going on? What's the problem with this? Why are we doing it differently? We moved away from receivables. Almost 99% of the clients pay for the return when they get it. Yeah, we had a few clients that kind of complain about that, but we got over it, or we found ways to find solutions with them. Nowadays, completely virtual, completely paperless, a lot of advisory services, people working for us around the country. It's been a great transformation, but it's a lot of work. And that's why that last one, like I said, it's the vision, the plan, the desire. That desire from the leadership to we're going to drive this ship every day. and we're going to guide it there every single day. And that's part of what we're doing. It takes some work and some effort, but you see a lot of dividends with that.
Mm. Excellent points there. And so in terms of some of those horror stories, right? Because there are plenty of them out there. And in the merger acquisition, be it via private equity or more, traditional uh, M&A style things, what are some of those major obstacles and headaches that can cause some of those horror stories to actually happen?
Yeah, we see this a lot, whether it's a small firm or a big firm, that the biggest failure is the person who's looking to kind of get out of not being willing to like really give up control.
Mm.
Being like, listen, I always did it this way. You will always do it this way. It's just not a smart business decision. I understand from the control standpoint that you've controlled your kingdom forever and you find comfort in that. But you know what? It's now somebody else's kingdom. If you're going to trust someone to come in and acquire your business, whatever it is, they're going to have to step up and figure things out. They're not going to get it right all the time, but they need to be the one making those decisions. Too often firms either don't move forward with being acquired because they're like, no, Dr. Sean, you talk about Bitcoin and blockchain. I'm out. I don't know what those things are. Or like, they go through with it and then just like, nope. Like, I've always worked at my desk every single day for all my life. I'm not going to let people here work virtually. And you're kind of like, well, like you sold the practice. You're whatever your age is, you're looking to retire. It's somebody else's turn to make that work, and not letting go of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually where it comes into, especially in the small to medium sized thing of not being willing to give up control. And that's a choice of like, do you want to die at your desk, or do you want to like move on with your life? And like, that's a big decision. It's very emotional. That's the biggest failure. People just can't like let go of the fact that they're going to sell and transition and not be the one making the decision.
Mm. Makes sense. Because in most projects, be it an IT upgrade, a acquisition, or any sort of change at a company in any industry, it does often boil down to having those open channels and being, open and honest with yourself as to what's happening and then how it's going to happen going forward. And then on that point, having these conversations can be difficult, right? For a partner who might have founded the firm, run it, grown it up to a certain size for the last 30, 40 plus years. I mean, how do you come into that conversation and try to say, hey, listen, Garrett, that was all great, but now I'm in charge now. I'm calling the shots as to how the firm is going to pivot going forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that's gone on longer than you and I have been around doing this. And the answer honestly hasn't changed very much. And there's a reason for that. The first conversation is with empathy and kindness of, hey, Dr. Sean, I hear that you don't want to do things differently. I hear you don't want to change how you've ever done stuff. I understand. How can I help you? How can we work with this? Because we've got to move this firm forward from the way it was when you started. How do we get there? And you start with that. And it slowly goes, the patience gets a little shorter every time. And eventually, across firm sizes, what it's come down to, what all of us consultants recommend is eventually the different conversation. Hey, Dr. Sean, do you remember when you sold the practice? If you look at the contract, there was provision in there about you stepping down and helping to transition work. Or there was a provision in there about you not bad-mouthing the firm or arguing with clients or insulting staff. You might have not remembered, but page 26, paragraph 4, there were monetary pieces to your non-compliance with this. And we've gone through the 6 months of me being polite and kind and empathy. Well, Dr. Sean, page 22, paragraph 6 says you're still in the buyout phase and your next buyout payment will be reduced. And that's kind of the least desirable piece, because you kind of get into that no longer the carrot, but the stick. And too often it gets to that where that person who's selling the firm just I've talked to so many people. We advised on this, seen this firsthand. I get it. It's emotional. It's hard to no longer be in control. What it comes down to, the new firm has no choice but to have that like stick monetary penalty. It's not pleasant for either of them. Like truthfully, like whoever acquired your firm, no matter what their age is and what their place in his life, they don't want to come to you and be like, Dr. Sean, this is a hard conversation, but like your payment's reduced by $20,000 because of page 22, paragraph 6. Like it's not a fun conversation, but that's where so many get to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why so many of these contracts have those financial penalty converse pieces in there, because in this, we've kind of learned that like the carrot generally doesn't work and all that works is the stick.
Mm. No, and I mean, that really highlights it to me that on the one hand, you always want to be empathetic and aware of the human component of these types of transformations, transitions, acquisitions, but ultimately it is a business transaction, and there has to be at the end of it a business to run and to grow going forward. Um, and so, to wrap up our conversation, right
Yep.
here today, uh, and I've known you for a long time, and have watched you get involved in various aspects, right? Consulting, advisory, firm acquisition, all kinds of interesting stuff. From your seat, where do you see all of us going forward as a field, right? And there are any number of external forces, be it the pipeline, be it crypto, ESG, items like that. Where do you see us going forward collectively as a field, maybe for the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the public accounting landscape, and I've been thinking about this and talking to some of my peers, like we're kind of getting that inflection point of we're getting more and more pressure to change, or we have. And it's going to be either we're going to start to change with it and maintain our kind of seat at the upper echelon of the table, or others in our profession outside it are going to change and we're going to go from like the top rung of the ladder and we're going to go down several rungs. The analogy somebody used lately is too often CPAs and partners are like in a medical practice, they're the receptionist, the nurse, the physician, the specialist, and the janitor. And we need to spend more time being the specialist and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't kind of get our stuff together and get on board with some of this change and some of the things you talked about, we might not get to be the doctors and the specialists anymore. Maybe the legacy accounting profession, we're the physician's assistants. It's not a great outlook for our profession to kind of be demoted. But if we don't change with the times, it is, Dr. Sean, you've got a
Yeah.
PhD in innovation. If you don't change with the times, I mean, I'm from Rochester, New York, the home of Eastman Kodak. If you don't change with the times and you make digital or you make physical print pictures, you are no longer one of the most valuable companies in the world. You are one of the least valuable companies in the world, and the world changes around you. So, like, are we going to get hit with that? Like, we can't get out of the way, and we truthfully go that way, and others come above and just push us down the table, like private equity money that just doesn't see us as valuable. That's a worrying trend for us. So hopefully people out there, it's time to like wake up, get to it. There's so many great things you can do today. There's so many opportunities. It's at our fingertips. We just got to stop getting in our way and take it.
Absolutely right, Garrett. And there are tools and applications for every firm at every budget level to help start that automation conversation, to help view the firm differently, and to help, as you so clearly outlined, how to innovate and how to grow, right? Because the business world is changing, and that pace of change is only going to get faster. And there are great examples of firms and individuals like you who have managed to pivot firms and to ride that wave of change quite well. So I'm pretty optimistic overall, but I would also say there's definitely risks out there for firms and for individuals who are not open to at least having these conversations to how to innovate, how to change, and then how to grow going forward.
Well said, Dr. Sean. Lots of growth potential. It's out there. learn about technology, get involved, maybe invest in, we talked about kidding before, invest in some crypto, plenty of options.
This is not investment advice, though. Not investment advice ever. But anyway, yeah, a disclaimer should pop up. Yeah. But Garrett, absolutely a blast having you on. It's always a great time talking to you. And I'll be sure to have you on the NJCPA podcast in the future.
Happy to come back anytime, Dr. Sean.
Thanks, Garrett. And for those of you who are tuning in today, who are not yet a part of the NJCPA Emerging Technologies Interest Group, I encourage you all to go to njcpa.org/groups and join. And all of the episodes of Issues Watch podcast, including these, are online at njcpa.org/podcast. And for anybody who is interested in some of that information on crypto, please visit the njcpa.org/hub/crypto knowledge hub for all of our information on those topics. Thanks. Have an awesome day.